Is this on or not? Test. Good morning, everyone. If you can get settled. And then I would like for some of our cheerleaders who are going to help me with something come to the side. Thanks, cheer. They've been here since 6 o'clock this morning doing some KTLA spots. So we're on the news. So we're going to start today. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you all. You're going to have an amazing day. I'm so excited for it. And we're going to start with your ASB presidents. Come on up.
Hello, everyone. I'm Esty, ASB president. Welcome to YWCC. And we're going to start today with the Pledge of Allegiance. So everyone, please stand and put your right hand over your heart. All right. All right. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Actually, I'm going to ask you to stay standing. Our guests don't have to stand, but everybody else can stand because we're going to do our gala cheer. So if our cheerleaders can come up. Thanks so much. Part of cheer. I know we didn't have enough room on the stage for all of cheer, but you are all awesome. You've been here since the morning, and we've had a lot of cheering for our school. We're just so grateful to have KTLA here doing a segment on school spirit. So definitely show your spirit as we're walking around and going to the different presentations today. I want to welcome the over 100 women that are here today to talk to you about their careers and give you some insight into different pathways that you might have. Everyone has a different pathway, and sometimes they go on zigzags and sometimes they go straight. So one of my friends growing up at the time, there were not a lot of women doctors or lawyers, and she decided she wanted to become a doctor. She decided in middle school, I'm going to go to medical school, and she did. She's been a practicing doctor for many years now, loves her profession, and never deviated from it. For me, I came out of college with a history degree, and I couldn't quite figure out what I wanted to do. So I kind of thought maybe I would want to be a lawyer. It seemed like very glamorous and something that I could fight for everyone's rights. And so before I invested in law school, which is a huge investment, and also at that time, there were not very many women lawyers. I thought, let me be a paralegal for a while. So I got a job as a paralegal, did it for a year, and went, oh boy, this is not for me. It is a lot of tedious work. It's wonderful work, but it was just not a good fit for me. So then I kind of did a bunch of other jobs along the way, and I was a playground aide at a elementary school. And I went, wow, I love working with kids. And then, of course, I went to and became a teacher. Was a teacher for a long time, almost 20 years, and then went into counseling. Was a district level counseling coordinator and an assistant principal at a bunch of different schools, and then started the school. And so it was a very it was a zigzag journey because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And that might happen to you. Might not know quite yet, especially the first couple of years of college, you're going to be exposed to so many things. But one of the reasons we do this is so you can be exposed to a lot of different careers, a lot of different pathways, a lot of different ways that you can go about, deciding what you love. A lot of my friends say to me, "Why are you still working?" And I say, "Because I love coming to work every day." And that's what we want for you. We want you to find that thing that makes you want to get up in the morning and come to work and you enjoy it. Why do I enjoy it? I love being with you. I love being with the teachers. We have an amazing community here. And I just love everything about it. And I'm so proud of the fact that we've started the school. It was a long battle, as you all know, to get it. And that, we have so many opportunities for you. I didn't have any of these opportunities growing up. As you all know, I was discouraged from going to college because my counselor told me, oh, you should just become a wife and mother and not go on to college. And I did prove him wrong. I'm very happy about that. So thank you. And I guess I would say that to you too. There are going to be people along the way that are going to try to discourage you. Don't let them do that. That shouldn't happen. Try to find the mentors and the people that will help you along the way instead of wallowing in that negativity. So try to find the people that will support you, the people who will tell you that this is what you're meant to do. You're going to do great. And you're going to make mistakes along the way. And as we know, we have our saying here, yet. We want to make sure that you might make mistakes, but you just go back and learn from them and go, yet. I'm not good at that yet, but I will be. So keep that positive mentality and thinking about which way you want to go. It is not common for now people to stay in the same job for a long time. I've been in the district for a long time, and so I wouldn't follow the same path as you. You'll probably have many, many different jobs in your lifetime, and I hope that you enjoy each one of them, or you are stepping to the next one that you think you'll enjoy. It is amazing that you have so many opportunities, and I'm so, so grateful to all of the women who are coming to talk to you today, and especially grateful to our parent body. They have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours contacting these women and asking them to come, and just putting the schedule together today, which is a little complicated. So I just want to thank all the parent volunteers, especially Liz Cohen, who has chaired this for 6 years now. So thank you, Liz. This is a kind of event I love because I did nothing. All I did is have a couple of conversations with Liz, and she put the whole thing together along with her committee, a committee of a lot of volunteers. So thank you again for doing that. And then Angie Gomez, our president of Fogala, also to the big role. And so I really hope you're inspired today. You have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to hear your reactions. Come up and tell me what you liked and what you learned. And I hope it's just a wonderful, great day for you. So now I'm going to have Liz Cohen and come up. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We are so excited to bring to you the YWCC. It's our 8th conference. We're super excited. We have an incredible lineup. We'll begin with our chamber choir, and everyone's got their schedules, so you know where to go. But for now, we're going to sit here and have a wonderful time. Thank you, everyone, for participating, the teachers, faculty. It's just been magnificent, and we're so excited and can't wait to hear your feedback. Enjoy.
All right. Thank you, Miss Leopard and the wonderful choir. Thank you so much. It's beautiful. Good morning, everyone. As president of Fogella, I'm so thrilled to be able to bring this event to you guys again this year. Like Dr. Hicks said, it took a village of dedicated volunteers, and I'm so grateful to each and everyone who helped make today possible. As we begin the day, I ask you again to come with an open heart, an open mind, and a readiness to learn and be inspired. This is your chance to hear from extraordinary women who are making a real impact in the world. And our keynote speaker is no different. It is my absolute honor to introduce Zoraya Oliver Griffin, Chief Climate Resiliency and Emergency Management Officer of the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. She is a powerhouse leader in emergency management. Her work is impactful, innovative, and essential. And today, she's here to share her journey and her wisdom with all of you. Please join me in welcoming Zoraya Oliver Griffin to Gala.
I will look at you and you will keep us honest. Liz. Good morning, Gala. Here we are in the middle of Hicks Hall. I do want to just take a minute and say, this is your day. Angie said it. This is your day. I want you to think as you watch and listen to these amazing women here with us today. That could be me one day. One day I might be on stage inspiring someone just like myself. So just take away those little nuggets, because truly, all of you, this is what you're headed for, your moment. So it is absolutely amazing to sit today with Zoraya.
It's amazing for me. I'm the one that's very excited to be here. So thank you, ladies.
Yeah. You know, our theme is growing roots. That's the theme of our conference this year. And I just want to really, really thank LADWP, because you have been a big part of our foundation from the very beginning. We're going to get into your story. You're somewhat new to LADWP. So I want to say, having you here today in our new campus, we've never done YWCC in this hall. You are going to be foundational to the roots we grow on our permanent campus. And we are so grateful for the support. So we can't do it without the amazing team at YWP, which is LADWP, and which is made up of incredible women leaders. So we're going to start today. First, there's a little trend out there in something called TikTok. It's called Coffee with Your Younger Self. Yeah. So I'm going to just sort of take us back in time. You're on your way coming to Gala. You stop to get your drink of the morning and you run into your younger self. What? First of all, I think your younger self would love your shoes. So she'd
probably be rolling her eyes, quite honestly.
Okay. Really? I don't think so. What? I mean, in the TikTok trend, they say, you know, what drink would you get? So let's start there. How do you fuel your morning?
So, Starbucks just has a new drink that I found out about this morning, which I'm incredibly excited about, which is the lavender coffee.
Okay.
So that is going to be the new drink that I adopt. But my daughters have got me hooked on Celsius.
Oh, wow. Okay, I don't know, guys. Everyone in the middle school who's watching this on Zoom, wait a couple years before you check out the Celsius.
Yeah, wait a while. Trust me.
And then, so let's kind of talk. You run into your younger self. She sees you're on your way to be the keynote speaker at Gala. You are the Chief Climate Resiliency and Emergency Management Officer.
Could we have chosen a longer title? I mean,
honestly. We will unpack that title for sure. but it's a big one. What does your younger self say? Tell me about who you were when you were the age of these girls. What were your hopes and dreams or thoughts for yourself? What would she think if she ran into you?
Yeah. I would probably have to go up to her because she probably would have looked at me and then just kind of retreated into herself. And we would have talked about the fact that you are not going to be an emergency room doctor because you pass out at the sight of blood, so you just need to get over that. But you're going to have an incredible career. You are going to be a mom of 2 amazing young girls. And you will one day do the very unexpected, given where you grew up, and that you will be an executive in the second largest city in the United States.
Wow.
At a time where no one thought that a girl from South Chula Vista, 5 miles away from the Mexican border, from a single mom,
Wow.
who was a business owner, that several days of the week we had to eat beans and rice. We thought she was giving it to us because that was our favorite meal, but it's because that's all we could afford.
Wow. Did your mom, I know you did go to college. Did your mom go to college? Talk about how you left Chula Vista.
Yeah.
What's that trajectory?
Yeah. So no, I'm the first generation.
Okay.
And for those of you that are Mexican, at least back in my generation, it was not something that you did was to leave home ever. You stayed locally. So that was really hard, but my mom wanted a life better for me than what she had. So, I never thought I could go to a school like Pepperdine University. We certainly could never afford it, but I went up there on a school visit, and I came back and my mom said, "What'd you think?" And I'm like, "Mom, it's incredible. But girls like us can't go there." And she just looked me square in the eye. She's like, "Why not you? They got to admit somebody. Why shouldn't they admit you?" And that set me on a trajectory, right?
Right.
And then she's like, "If you don't apply, you know what the answer is going to be. And
Right.
if you do apply, that's out of your control anyway, right? You do what you need to do, and then other people are going to make a decision, and then we just take it from there. We take it one step at a time, right?" So applied, got early decision.
Wow.
Not only did I get in, I got a full ride,
Oh, amazing. Congrats.
right? Yeah, but what I didn't think about is I wasn't surrounded by wealth. I wasn't surrounded by academia. I didn't grow up that way,
Right.
right? So I connected with the people that I knew, which was the housekeepers in the dorm, the cooks that made my food every day, the gardeners that made sure that our grass was perfect. And that felt like home to me.
Right.
And I studied really hard, really, really hard. I almost failed out my freshman year because I just, it was tough, right? I didn't have the tutors. I couldn't afford to pay for tutors, so I just had to figure it out myself. And my mom again said, "It's okay. We're not expecting perfection. You've already exceeded all expectations. So just do the best that you can."
Wow. Your mom sounds amazing.
She is, and I think she's up in heaven right now, smiling down and pretty dang proud.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So you had a tough first year. How did you what was the rest of the experience like for you? Because I know you even went on to get a master's degree.
Got my master's degree. And then I had an incident with a brother where he, again, because of where we lived, there was a lot of racial profiling. And he contributed to some of that, but he was accused of something that we knew for a fact that he had not done. And at that moment, I completely changed the trajectory of my career. And I said, I'm going to be a criminal defense attorney.
Wow.
And I went to law school. And I worked full time and went to law school because, again, my mom couldn't afford law school, right?
Yeah.
So I went down that road and got to that point, and I said, what am I doing? I love it, but I don't love it enough, you know? Um, and then the justice system, the juvenile justice system was so dysfunctional, and I learned really quickly that I was just going to become part of the problem and not part of the solution. So I looked for other opportunities where I could. So then I became a social justice community organizer, which is a fancy
Wow.
way to say lobbyist,
Okay.
for vulnerable populations. So people that didn't have health care, people that didn't have an education, that couldn't go to schools like this, right? Because first of all, because they didn't exist,
Right.
and worked there for several years. Then was blessed with the news that I did not have the flu. Rather, I was very pregnant with my oldest child. And then I had to think long term, right? I now have a daughter that I
Yeah.
need to provide for, and
Yeah.
an education hopefully to pay for, right? So then I had to look for something that was a little bit more stable. And so then I got the opportunity from the utility in San Diego Gas and Electric. They asked me if I would be willing to work for the first female officer or executive of that organization.
Yeah.
But they said, but there's a little bit of a catch. And I said, oh, that's not sounding good. They're like, it's as her executive assistant.
Okay. Right. So, which was a touch of a demotion, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And how did you handle what probably felt like a bit of a setback
Mhm.
with an opportunity attached to it? How did you
Right.
handle that?
Right. You trust your journey.
Yeah.
Always, always, always trust your journey. You put in the work. You do right by people all the time. And then you trust where life is going to take you, right? Because you don't know.
Yeah.
So when I interviewed with her, they said she's got about 30 minutes. So maximize your time. An hour and a half later, we finished the interview.
Amazing.
I got home and I had a call, and she offered me the job.
Amazing.
And she didn't offer it to me as an executive assistant. She offered it to me as her chief of staff.
Amazing. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you just go in at every opportunity, ladies. You go in really well prepared, really real. Know your business, whatever that business is, right? Know it really well. And that business could be knowing you and what you want and being really clear about the value that you bring to any organization.
And say yes to the interview for a job that you're not sure you even want.
That you even
right?
want, right? I will tell you that has changed the trajectory of my career. My mom passed away before she got to see me advance. And so Margot, who was the officer, who's a very dear friend of mine today still, she became not only a coach for me professionally, she also became like a mother figure to me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
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 Well, that really does take us back to this idea of roots and community building, especially in an industry that is very male dominated. So you had a woman really see your potential, nurture it, water the roots, and I can see that that's the kind of leadership you bring in the rooms you walk into. So that's amazing.
And it doesn't always mean nurturing, doesn't always equate to easy.
Yeah.
She pushed me really hard. There were days where I was like, what on earth is wrong with this woman?
Yes.
And we talked about it,
Yeah.
and she said, look, I'm going to push you really hard because you're a woman and you got to work, I hate to tell you, but you got to work twice as hard to get half the credit in this industry.
Right.
Right. And I would not be doing you any service if I took it easy on you.
Right.
Right. But you're going to grow and you're going to feel really uncomfortable. And, we're going to take it from there, but I am going to stay by your side, and you are not going to fail unless you want to fail.
That's a great model for
And to the-
leadership. Yeah.
And to this day, she walks by my side. You know, whenever I need a thought partner to kind of help me get unstuck a little bit,
Yeah.
she's one of the first phone calls that I make.
Wow. Resilient. I can already tell you have incredible resilience. But I also think she really tapped into, she challenged you, which is so nice and helps you kind of even discover parts of yourself you
Yeah.
didn't know were there. And you've had an incredible career since you took that, job interview you weren't sure you even wanted. From there, you were in San Diego Sempra for
Correct.
many years. I do want to spend a little time talking about what you're doing now. You are at LADWP. You started in November.
Right after Thanksgiving.
Okay. We all know LA had the worst natural disaster we have ever had, probably about 6 weeks after you started.
Correct.
Walk us through what it must be like. I know when we were preparing for this, we had a pre-meeting. I met your team, and they talked to me about how the first time a lot of them actually met you was when there was kind of this meeting of everyone coming together. The fires were still going on. You had to walk into the room as a new leader. Most people in there hadn't met you, and you had to show up as the person in charge. And everyone there said, you showed up in such a profound way that, one, they knew they were in excellent hands, but two, they immediately knew you were there to lead. And I want to know, of course, I want to hear about even what your day-to-day is like, but what part of sort of your experience created that leadership for you? How were you able to walk into that room in that moment and really show up?
I said yes to a lot of really hard assignments that
Okay.
prepared me. I started, one assignment led to something else, which led to something else. And I remember back in 2007, I sat in the Emergency Operations Center and was watching homes burn down, right? And I said, never again will that happen on a watch of mine, ever. And so I just became, I was so impacted by families losing everything that I became a subject matter expert in wildfire and in emergency response, because I will never be able to stop Mother Nature from doing what she's going to do, but I can help people, right? Which is why I wanted to be an emergency room doctor. I wanted to help people, which is why I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to help people. And while I never envisioned myself managing catastrophic emergencies, what I continue to today and what I was very clear about is I will help people in their time of need. And I never lose sight of that is what I'm going to do.
Right.
And that is what I reminded the team, right? It's not about the electric lines. It's not about the water pipelines. It's about helping all of these families that are losing everything. And we can give them hope that they need right now. And we're going to come together as subject matter experts, and we're going to rally, and we're going to make the best decisions that we can, because they deserve that from us. And I will not expect anything less from any of you sitting around this table, is what I told them. And if you can't deliver, that's okay. There's an opportunity for you to do something else, just not in this room right now. And nobody left the room.
Amazing. And thank you, by the way, for all of the support from your team. I know you were hired for a certain job, and now it's profoundly changed in a profound you're now, I believe, in rebuild mode, and that's going to be years to come. Walk us through a day-to-day or even a week, because I'm sure every day is different for you. Walk us through that.
So, in these roles, people think that they're really fancy. They're really not. I spend a lot of times in meetings, right? But they're not just like your run-of-the-mill meetings. We're really thinking through some problems that there really are no solutions to right now. And so I ask a lot of questions of really, really smart people, far smarter than I. And my role is to bring people together to find solutions, right? And to remove obstacles. And to come together to leave the communities that we serve better than we found them. And I am really, really clear about that. That's a non-negotiable for
Yeah.
me. But I get to do some really amazing things too, right? I mean, I could be at City Hall with the mayor on one day. I'll just give you, we'll talk about
yeah,
yesterday,
talk about, yeah.
right? So we went up to the Palisades area yesterday. This is where we're helping to rebuild. And helped the mayor understand what it is that we're doing over there on the rebuild process, and talked with some federal government representatives on some decisions that need to be made. And so I spend a lot of time trying to influence decision making, right, by people that can really make a difference. And then after that, I came back in the day and I spoke to all of my staff and kind of, connected on what are the next steps? What are the things that you all are struggling with? What do you need my help with? Where do I need to get out of your way? And then I had a meeting with our CEO, and we had some challenges we needed to work through. And then the CEO, we worked together at San Diego Gas and Electric many, many years ago. So there's doing jobs,
Already
doing-
a relationship.
already a relationship, doing jobs that everyone thought that we were going to fail at because we were women, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Um,
Boo.
serious boo. Like don't underestimate women. Like we'll
Yeah.
blow it out of the park every single time. But so I met with her, and then we had a interesting conversation, which I was a little bit nervous about. But this is when I leaned into the trust that we've built over
Okay.
the years.
Yep.
And I said, I'm talking to you now as a trusted advisor. I'm not talking to you as your subordinate, right? I am really concerned that we may be going down a direction that you may not want to go.
Mm.
And we need to rethink this. At the end of the day, I will do what you tell me to do, and we will hit it out of the park. But I'd like to give you a different perspective that I think you may not have had. And I took a risk. I took a
Right.
calculated risk. And she took a deep breath and she said, this is exactly why I need you by my side,
Yeah. Amazing.
right?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid, ladies. If you do your homework, you know your business, you build strong relationships, don't be afraid to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Listen to that voice inside of you that says, I need to speak up, right?
Yeah. We have a couple more minutes and then we're going to wrap up. We talked about what your mom used to say to you, which was, why not you? So, you guys, why not you? What do you think your younger self would remind you of? Would she also say, why not me? Right? When you think about, is there anything you wish you had told your younger self?
Just go for it. Trust yourself, believe in yourself, and advocate for yourself, right? Surround yourself by people that you can trust. Maintain those relationships. They're going to be really important years to come, and you want in unimaginable ways. Always, always, always do the right thing. It may cost you, but it's not really a cost. You're just being redirected to where you really truly need to be anyway, right? Never compromise. Never, never, never compromise on your values. Know what your values are. Those are your anchors. They're your anchors today, and they will be your anchors for the rest of your life. And if in your gut it doesn't feel right, do not do it, because you will not be happy. And you will walk down a road that you do not want to be in.
Thank you so much. This has been there's so much more we could talk about, including the title of your your job title. But thank you again for helping us grow our roots, for being part of our community, and for sprinkling these incredible seeds of wisdom. You see how I did that? I'm really leaning into the metaphor here. Incredible seeds of wisdom for our girls. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
A final note. Don't lose hope. Right now, the world, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, right? Don't lose hope for a minute, because I have a lot of hope in you. And I am working really hard, and there's a lot of people working really hard right now, a lot of women working really hard to leave the future a little bit brighter and better for each of you. But we're working really hard today to leave it all in your hands, right? To watch you ladies do some really incredible things and take some risks and take some challenges, right? So take those risks. Don't be afraid. Trust yourself. You're already in a phenomenal environment that's grooming you to be incredibly successful. Because I would love nothing else than to see all of you up here someday. And you will. You will.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Wasn't that fantastic? Another round of applause. High school all stays here and for just a few minutes, please. It's not working. Sound? Hello?
As some of you may know, if you watched the news earlier today, we've had the amazing KTLA Spirit here filming our students, mostly our cheer, and we did robotics, and we're going to do one other segment. And so we are going to, I know you're not expecting this, but high schoolers, we want to show a lot of cheer, a lot of spirit here. And so if you can all stand up, we are going to do our gala cheer again. Are you ready? Are you ready? Ready? Okay. Oops. Oh, gosh.
of you. I have you trust Alexis. Mr. Alexis wants to be here. You should all have a mic. Is this yours?
Do you need water? Yeah, anybody need water?
So where's your office? Where you located? In LA? Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, got it. Yeah. Yeah. And what kind of, you're tech, right? And what kind of tech company? Oh, okay. I've heard of them.
Hello, everyone. We're just getting set for our next panel. If you could just hang tight, and we'll be with you in just a moment. Thank you, everyone.
Well, I know Chelsea here in the purple jacket. Her daughter and my daughter are on a club soccer team. And we were talking about Gala. My daughter's good at our girls' private school, so I'm a big supporter of private. And I'd like to see more all girls' schools expand. So we started talking about.
There, I'm Nolan. I have a community partnerships here at Gala. I just want to let you know, obviously, not to tell you that KTLA is coming to do a school spotlight on us today. So in your conversation, your panel, there's going to be a moment where Megan is just going to do a live shot of the crowd, and you'll already be on the stage. So that will be happening while you guys are chatting. So it'll just be like, we might stop for like just a few minutes to just do that live shot. Okay. So yeah, I will look at the computer. That's fine. I don't. Thank you. Thank you. Great. They've been here all morning. I got here. It's just been like.
No, can you just tell Alexis that you're here?
Yeah, this should be very nice. Getting girls exposed. You went to an all-girls school? Oh, okay. Did you? Yeah, we've seen it from our daughters. Like, they love it. Focus on school. And when they were in elementary with the boys, and they were just like, because they're picking up all the teachers' time, for like, it's just in the boys for them all the time, It doesn't take much. And yeah. I was a tomboy, so I didn't understand the all-girls school until we went and did a tour. And I was like, yeah, this is really great. So I was like, yeah, there's a whole lean-in philosophy, confidence, leadership, and I think, okay, I get it. I like the lemonade you're giving me. All right, I'll send my girls.
Yeah, at the back.
How did you get to know about Gala?
Hello, everybody. Listen up. Okay. Hi there. Good morning. I have a quick announcement just as we're getting ready for our next panel. Thank you to our lovely speakers today who have joined us. As you know, KTLA has been on campus today showing all Gala Spirit, School Spirit. There's going to be a moment in this where they're going to cut to Megan, and that's where we're going to, the whole school, the high schoolers are going to really show their school spirit. So, and then we're going to, our wonderful moderator here is going to be on cue and know what to do. Thank you. Listen up, ladies. Okay, listen up. The students deemed to speak for the segment, please meet me towards the front. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, great. Everybody's got one. Okay, brilliant. Should be, if you want to do a quick check to.
Mine says,
Yeah. Maria, you want to just do a quick tech check? Yeah. Thanks, Joe. You ready to go? Good morning, students. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, go, ooh, ah. Fantastic. Okay. So I just had the privilege of meeting these ladies that you're going to be hearing from. My name's Alexis. I'm moderating. And we have Kim and Deborah and Maria. And I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves because I want them to be able to tell their own stories about how they identify in their roles in their careers. You all have the bio books, so you'll be able to read more about them. But to really get an idea of who they are, we want to give them the chance to tell you themselves. So let me go ahead first and turn to Kim, who's going to share with us a little bit about who she is.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me today. My name's Kim Carley. I work in a hospital. I work at an academic medical center, Keck Medical Center of USC, so just across the way here on the east side of LA. So it's a big academic medical center. We've got a university. We've got lots of great research and science and some of the most complex healthcare happening in our hospitals to take care of the most advanced diseases. And hopefully no one's ever had to experience that because it's really better if you don't. But what I'm able to do in my role there is try to make things better for our doctors and nurses. So my title is Chief of Performance and Transformation. It's a very fancy title, and I'm very proud to have it and to work on the executive team. But the core of what I do and the core of my background is solving problems and making things better. So I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, but I'm trying to make sure that they can do their jobs as well as possible to take care of our patients as well as they can, and to make sure that all of the things that happen in a hospital are working as well as they can. They don't always, sorry. But my team is there to continuously make it better with technology, with problem-solving activities. I'm an engineer by background, and so I just go out and try to solve problems every day and use data to solve those problems. So it's been a wonderful experience. I've been working in healthcare in hospitals like this my entire career, trying to solve problems everywhere I go.
Thank you. Just by show of hands, any of you, as you think about your own career trajectory, think you might end up in medicine or hospitals, medical, anything? You may not know yet, that's fine. Cool. Okay, great. Let's go to Deborah.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me here today. Great to see all of you. I'm Debbie LaFranchi. I am the founder and CEO of SDS Capital Group. I started the firm back in 2001 when I was 31 years old. And I had been working for Mayor Reardon at that time. And the city of LA in the 1990s was going through a lot of rough stuff. Jobs were leaving, there was a lot of crime and violence, and we decided that we needed to invest more in our low-income communities. So we created some investment funds, about 85 million to 100 million different funds to invest in the city of LA. And I learned how to do that. And I decided to start SDS Capital Group to create those same type of funds all over the country. So today we manage about $1.7 billion in 5 different strategies, different parts of the country, investing in the poorest rural and urban communities of the country, most often to create affordable housing. So for instance, right now, one of our funds, which will resonate, I think, with a lot of you because we're all Angelenos here, we have a $190 million SDS Supportive Housing Fund, and we are financing using private sector money for homeless housing. And so we have 900 units in construction right now in California, and we're using private sector money to build them faster, cheaper, and more efficiently than using a whole array of government money that's difficult to access and very slow. So I know we all see the encampments every day as we drive around and walk around Los Angeles. You know, the state has over 180,000 homeless. So it's a real crisis, and we're trying to get more resources into that. But that's what our company does. We look at using private sector money to address social challenges so that we have government, nonprofit, and the private sector battling against poverty.
So similar question, anybody, when you think of your future, imagine yourselves in finance or investing or having to be, something to do with one person imagines having to do, two people, 3? Okay, there we go.
We'll
All
ask
right.
you at the end. We'll see if any more of you raise
That's
your
right.
hands.
That's right. All right, great. Maria, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I am working in Microsoft. Have you heard about that company? Microsoft, depending on the day, is the second or the third largest company in the world. We build technology, and I am part of the artificial intelligence division. So how many of you know about ChatGPT? All right, you're using it, right? Right, yes.
No,
yes.
no, none of them. None of them know about it
Yes.
or use it.
All right.
No.
Yes. So what I do there, I have a platform. I lead a platform of engineers, product managers, and data scientists that create a platform for the teams across the company, products like Office, like the Xbox, like Bing, the search engine across the company, to test their features before they fully roll them out, especially with the pivot that Microsoft has on creating copilots for everything that we have. So if you use Office, you will see that you can have a companion to help you to design PowerPoints or to write documents and help you with that. For software developers, we have copilots that help you to code. It's like your companion for programming. So that's what we do. And then my day, the day-to-day is ensuring that we're able to deliver the features for the platform to ensure that the teams are able to do their jobs.
Thank you. Tech? Anybody think they might go into tech? Yeah. Here's the thing about these powerhouse women. I asked them, here's where you are right now. Let's assume it's somewhere on your trajectory. You're not done yet. You're going to keep going. But where did you start? So our theme for this year's YWCC is about planting roots. And where we start may or may not dictate where we go. So I invited everyone to think about, how'd you begin down this path, and to share a story with us that might give us some insight into how it is that they started on their particular career path. So let me go ahead and turn it over to whoever. Maria, you want to keep going? Great.
Yeah, so I love the theme because when I graduated from high school, I told my mom that I wanted to be a psychologist. And I really are passionate about people and people interactions. But then she said to me, well, I'm not sure about that. There is a new school a university that opened, and they have a new major. I think you should do that. And that was computer science. And, I followed the advice of my mom, and I took and went to the university. And to my surprise, I loved it. How she knew that computer science was going to be transformational 40 years ago, I don't know. But that's how she planted the seed. Well, she kind of forced the seed, but I follow. And so that I thought, I never thought that I will later on come to the United States and be here and be in one of the most powerful companies in the world, driving the technology that is changing all the jobs. So, so I thought that was, how that seed that my mom planted.
Thank you. Oops.
Sure. I'd love to follow Maria because I definitely also, appreciate my parents just guiding me towards what they knew I was naturally good at. So like probably a lot of you in here, I was good at math and science in high school. I mean, it was just like, yeah, I like numbers more than words. My brain speaks in numbers more easily, but I had no idea what that was going to be for me. So people said, oh, you should go to engineering for undergrad. Okay, fine. I had no idea all the different disciplines within engineering, all the different opportunities within engineering, but I liked math. I got into the program. It was interesting. It kept me going. It was, I won't say it was easy, but it was easier than probably some of the other undergraduate choices I could have made that required a lot of reading and writing, because that's not my strength. So I was really glad to have been pushed into that. But again, knowing where that was going to take me now 25 years later is really surprising. But it started way back when I went to college. Freshman year, you go to all the different engineering disciplines, and there's industrial and mechanical and chemical and all electrical. And you go to all the little seminars, and one just called to me. I just stayed open to what they were presenting. And industrial engineering was a lot about structure and process and logistics and data and making things better. And I went, okay, that sounds good. Still had no idea what I was going to do with that. And I really just lucked into a friend of mine having an internship at a hospital, and they needed the next intern. And I found that there were so many processes, so many problems to be solved in healthcare, to take what is technically usually engineering and manufacturing and in factories, and to take all of those ideas and bring them into a hospital where it's not a factory. We're not producing widgets or cars or anything like that. We're doing something that's really taking care of human lives. Helping doctors and nurses take care of human lives really seemed like a fascinating way to apply my engineering brain. And I really just got lucky, but it was because I was leaning towards those things that I was good at, that called to me, and just kept following that path.
Great. I'm going to ask more about what you all think you're really good at and an area of struggle after we give Deborah a chance to answer this question about the roots. So where did it start for you?
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur, started my own company, as I mentioned. And it's interesting, when I was looking at that question the other day, I thought, it goes back to when I was in elementary school. My parents owned a small grocery store, maybe take 4 7-Elevens. That's about the size. So not very big. And our whole family worked there. My grandpa worked there, my parents, my sisters. We were running the cash register, the old fashioned kind, when we were in 5th grade. And I remember one day we had about 6 employees there. And I kept asking my dad, like, well, who's the boss? Who's the boss of the store? It wasn't clear to me. And he's like, well, who do you think? And I guessed all the employees that worked there. And he's like, no, you haven't mentioned one person yet. And I said, are you the boss? And he said, yes, I'm the boss. And I was so intrigued with this idea of, like, owning a company, and then I realized my parents owned this small grocery store. So I was enthralled with that. I didn't quite realize my dad worked 24/7, 7 days a week. I missed that part of it when on the entrepreneurship side. I learned it later in life. But so I was always wanted to have my own company. That was something, I think it was just seeing that in my parents, and all of us, you know, your parents are very, even if it's subconscious, you kind of end up going that direction. But then I got to middle school and high school. I became really interested in sort of what was happening. The CEO of a company, I think my strength is, you know, in the language of the, you know, business community, being the visionary for the company, coming up with the new ideas, the new fund that we're going to create. And a lot of times the funds that we create have never been created before. So it's not as if we're replicating what someone did in Arizona, you know, oh, well, let's just do that in California. We're actually doing something totally new, and we have to figure out how to structure it so our investors can get a market rate of return. We have to make sure that people will want the capital that we're going to put out the door, and that we can achieve all of the goals of the stakeholders that need to be part of this. And for me, it's also being able to lead people and convince them to put their money into the fund. You know, so when we, for instance, launched our homeless fund, it was right before COVID. And, you know, I went to a handful of investors with the concept, and nobody had done this before. Nobody had used private equity to build homeless housing. It was a whole new concept. And investors often don't want to invest in brand new concepts. They want to invest in something that's been proven and it's been, you know, working well. So I think that's one of my, I mean, if I had to say sort of a superpower, is convincing people that this will work, and here's why it will work, and here's the data to back it up, and knowing what concerns they will have, and addressing those concerns right up front. So really being able to almost put on a hat and pretend I'm the investor. Why would they say no to this? What are all the reasons? And make sure that we have a presentation that addresses that before they even ask the question. You know, that's really important for impact funds, because we're creating new things. Every time we create a fund, it's a new fund that we see a gap in the market. We see deep poverty in a certain area, and how can we create something to address that? In terms of what I either am not so good at, or, and a lot of times what you're not good at is also what you don't like to do. There's a high correlation. You know, for me, I don't want to be in the weeds, really. I really want to have team members that are really capable in executing. And so I can focus on growing the company, raising the money, growing our business strategy. If I'm really in the weeds, which is where I shouldn't be as the CEO. So it is making sure we hire the right people that can really execute and do the jobs. And I have found, and I'm sure we all have stories, that is a hard thing to do. To select, you have every resume looks great. All the references are, for the most part, you call up where they worked before and they say, they're only going to give you good references, of course. So I think that's one of the things in general as a company, finding the right people, having the right person in the right seat. Are they passionate? Do they want it? Do they have the right skills? Are they a fit with our culture and values? And we've really worked hard to get that right. But it is a challenge for us as a company, I'll say.
Thank you. This is interesting. It's like the flip side. Go ahead.
Well,
Go
and
ahead.
that's what I was going to say also. I mean, starting with what you're saying about the candidates, the people that show up with their resume and they're interviewing, knowing who you are. And I heard the last speaker say that as well, right? Knowing who you are and what you're good at. So I'm going to be the person that executes on your vision. So my challenge is the big idea. I'm not a big idea person. I'm an engineer. I'm a data person. I'm in the weeds, and I like to crunch the numbers and get it done. I don't have the big ideas.
We work well together.
Right, exactly. Now, and I'm on the executive team, so I need to understand the big ideas. I need to work on it. It's something I try to improve all the time, but I know that I'm going to partner with the big idea people, and I'm going to say, okay, who do we need in the room? How are we going to get it done? How are we going to measure that it's going to happen? How are we going to put together a plan to execute it, get the right team members, and bring everyone together? That's where I'm going to get stuff done. The S is for something else. You go and you get stuff done so that we can execute the vision. We've got a big idea right now, leveraging AI in nursing, and that's really scary to me. I'm an administrator. I'm there to make sure the hospital doesn't get in trouble. We follow all the rules. We make sure we take care of patients. And so I have actually my director, the nursing director that reports to me, it's her big idea. She's a big idea. She wants to take something, and I'm supportive and nurturing of that and bringing in the what about? How are we going to do this? Who's going to make this happen? How are we going to make sure that our patients and our nurses are protected when we're using something like this super cool technology? But it wouldn't have been my idea. I'm going to make sure we're doing it right and doing it well. And so knowing that that's my niche and really growing over your career and trying to lean into spaces and saying, oh, that didn't feel good. I thought I was supposed to be a visionary, strategic thinker. I'm not. Okay, how do I come back into the work that I really like, that I'm really good at? And that's okay. That's all part of your journey and finding, testing things out and finding out what you're good at. And I'm feel really grounded now in this late stage of my career to say, yeah, this is what I'm really good at, and I'm going to execute whatever you want me to make happen.
And I think strong organizations have exactly that pairing, the visionary with the execution. I have a COO that does exactly that. So this is where we're going. We all agree on the objective, and she works with the team to figure it all out. And I get updated and I help when there's problems. But that's when you have a really strong company or organization, when you have that partnership between a visionary and the execution team. Absolutely.
Thank you. So for all of you too, you may be inclined to lead or you may be inclined to execute, and knowing which sort of space your strength is in can serve you as you figure out where you're going as well. Are there questions? Yeah, come on down to the mic. Stefania is right down here and can help you as you make your way down, to make sure that and Joe, our sound guy, everybody say hi to Joe. All right, go ahead. What were your high school lives like? Thank you.
Well, I mean, that opens up all kinds of things. Again, I will say I have a high schooler today, not here, but high school is a lot harder than it was when I went to high school, I think. I'll just say that. I worked hard. I was smart, but I don't think I was working as hard as you guys have to work today. So I'll acknowledge that right up front.
Snaps to you guys.
Yeah. You really got to put yourself in there. But I will say I like how they teach math better. I am a fan of new math, just in general. I think it's helping you understand what you got to do. Anyway, I was able to find a good balance. It was one of the questions we kind of talked about. I was a dancer, so that was actually my life. I had no, I didn't know if I was going to be a professional dancer, an engineer, hospital administrator. I had no idea, but I was dancing all the time, doing competitive dance, and that was probably consumed my entire every weeknight, every weekend. And I was able to continue dancing through college and even beyond until my 40s. And so it was really important, just as you guys all know, any team activity, sport, extracurricular, it just teaches you how to work with people, teaches you more about yourself, gives you an outlet. I'd say the most important thing dance does for me now is it gives me somewhere to have my own space and my own little separate joy. So keep those extracurriculars and hobbies near and dear to your heart for sure.
Yeah, when I was in high school, as I mentioned, my parents had a store, so I probably worked there at least 15 hours a week. All my sisters and I, we all needed to work there. It was a family-run business. And then I was very into sports. So I did track, I did basketball, I did tennis. And I was a competitive tennis player. I played tournaments all over Northern California every weekend. My mom and I were off to somewhere, some tournament. I ultimately played on the tennis team at UCLA. It was actually pretty intense. In middle school, for instance, I'd get up at 5:30 in the morning. My coach would pick me up. I'd go play indoors. It was still dark outside, and then after school playing. And between work and tennis and school, didn't have much free time at all, which I think was actually great. It kept me out of trouble. I had to learn how to multitask. I loved what I was doing. I love playing sports. I think whether you're dancing, sports, or any other extracurricular, it prepares you for life because you're having to balance multiple things. And when you're in your 30s and 40s and you've got a career and kids, you say, those skills that I learned back when I was multitasking in high school, those are really good skills. The more you can learn kind of to handle and multitask. High school was very busy for me, but I enjoyed it. I'm sure it was much easier than it is now. And certainly, the whole process of college and the competitiveness is very different now than it was in the 80s when I was applying. So, kudos to all of you. I know you're all doing great things, focused on your school. I've seen the statistics. Know you're doing a great job, and that'll serve you really well in life.
Thank you.
So I actually went to an all-girls high school, so I really relate to this. Very different in the sense that I am not a sport person. I am not a creative person. So I was call it a little bit of a nerd. So I was a very good student. I was more in, helping professors. They will all tap onto me to, be their helper. Now it's working. Okay. So, and then, so I was the, yeah.
It's really quiet. Let us know when we're ready. Yeah? Yeah. Try that.
Can you hear me now?
Kind of.
Hello?
Yeah, there we go.
Hello. Okay, now. Okay, got it.
Nice.
And then in my last year of high school, I was the president of the student body. So it was a very interesting
We're
experience.
gonna have to pick that up. And then just go and turn it off. Yeah, great. Okay, you're good, Maria, I think. No, it's not. Okay.
Yeah. So I was saying that I was the president of the student body, so that gave me access to other things that I needed to do and learn. But one thing that my mom did, because I was not doing sports or anything, she loved to travel. That was her hobby, and she exposed me to that since I was very young. Since eight years old, all that, traveling. And that I reflect back in, meeting different people, different cultures. It really enriched me. And I just, love that. So that was something that it was very interesting in my high school years. And my mom would say, if you do great, you will go out in summer to, someplace. So that's what I did. I had great grades, and then she allowed me to travel. So that was my high school.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody have a question they want to ask? Yeah, we got a microphone right here. Come on down if you've got one. Great. Woo-hoo. Let's see. Yep.
like bridge the gap between who's doing the investing and all that and the people that you're serving that are living like in poverty around the country?
Let me repeat the question just in case. When you think of investing or finance, you may be thinking of Silicon Valley or crypto or things like that. And tell me if I got this right. So as you're building your business and thinking about who's making the investments and who's being served on the back end, are you paying special attention to how that's connecting?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, the people that gravitate to SDS Capital and work at our firm, they want to make a difference. Sometimes in private equity, I will say, and my daughters have heard me talk about this a lot. A lot of people that do go into private equity, I don't know, when I was in college and I got my MBA, when I was getting my MBA, there were people and say, what do you want to do after you get your degree? It's like, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, that's not a career. That's not, it's an interesting answer. And a lot of those people might go into private equity, and I think that's what you were talking about. It's sort of a very money-driven, get rich perspective on that industry. We are private equity. We're the softer, kinder, gentler private equity that's trying to make a difference by using another source of capital, because government and nonprofits don't have enough money to deal with the poverty in this country. Our resources are constrained, and if we don't engage the private sector. So I'm not getting those people that want to go that other path in private. They're not applying for jobs at my firm, to be honest. I'm getting people who are really smart at math. They want to be looking at the deals, the numbers. They want to look at an affordable housing project and look at, is it going to generate the type of return our investors need? Is it going to have the type of impact on this community? So by virtue of what we're doing, we are attracting a certain type of person that is both good at math, typically, because that's part of investing, but they want to have an impact. And it's interesting, as I was working with, my daughter was volunteering for, I think it was the Giving Spirit, which is a homeless nonprofit. And I was doing a Zoom talking to the other kids on the youth council. And one of them said, oh my gosh, like I'm really good at math, but I've never been able to figure out where I could go with that and make a difference. And so there's a lot of, and there's venture capital firms that are investing in education companies that are able to help youth in inner city get better software and learning. There's private equity firms, and so there are a lot of different types of within the investing category that are focused on products that help people and do good things. So you don't have to think of it all as kind of money grubbing. There are within, because private equity does have sort of that bad reputation. There are a lot of firms that are doing really good things. And it's just finding, if you're interested in that, the type of firm that aligns with your own values and what you want to do. They're out there, and there's more of them now than there were 20 years ago. I mean, it's really changed. There's a lot more impact focused and groups doing what we're doing now. Great question.
And just to piggyback on that question for both of you, Marie and Kim, the idea, one of the things that I noted about the work that all of you do is you're subject matter experts in a particular field, but there's an undercurrent in all the work that you do that really is philanthropic, or that is trying to attend to populations who may be in some way marginalized. And I think especially you all are coming up in an era where you're fully aware of all the challenges that exist in the world around you, but not necessarily how to then craft a career where you're able to support yourselves at some point and able to have an impact. And so the nice thing about what all of these women do is they're doing both of those things, having an impact and finding a way to build their own careers. And so I was hoping that you could chat a little bit about that too, how that idea of philanthropy also pervades what you do professionally.
Yeah, happy to do that. So in my case, I came to this country many years ago, and I was good in math, but not in English. So I lost every financial aid that I had to do my master's in computer science. It was very hard for me to pass the test to get in. Finally, I got in and I got a scholarship from the Organization of American States. I got to school in the master's, I was the only one. I graduated and I got into, a tech company, Symantec Corporation. It was all guys. I was the only one. So with time, so being, progressing and working hard and all that, I saw the need. And so, but then, I was focused on delivering my work until one day, one lady in Microsoft invited me to a recruiting event. And that was life-changing for me because she said, I never seen anybody like you. You are Latina like me. So I haven't said it, but you probably know by my accent that I am, not from here. I was originally from Venezuela. So, and that was good. So that inspired me to be part of it. I can make a difference. People can see women in technology and in high-level positions. So I make an effort to dedicate, my time to support nonprofits that help communities, underserved communities, that teach them robotics, computer science, after-school programs, but also people in the spectrum. So that is very important to me too. So given that experience that I see, I want to see more people in the tech industry. Actually, we need them. We are not able to produce all the software developers that this country needs. So we actually go sometimes, we go to other places or open centers in other countries because we are not able to graduate all the developers that we need for all the jobs. So that was, my effort to bring more people the awareness and the exposure to STEM.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm going to focus a little bit on the same issue of women in the industry versus the philanthropy. Since I kind of covered, we're investing in very poor communities. One thing about the industry I'm in, so our funds are typically real estate, private equity, impact, and when you look at all the real estate funds around the country. And you look at all the money that's invested in them. And I'll ask people this question, what percent of the capital invested in real estate funds do you think is managed by a woman-owned fund manager? And I'm curious if anyone wants to take a guess at what percent of all the money in real estate funds is by a woman-owned real estate fund manager. Anyone want to guess?
20%?
2%?
2%, 1%? 3%, 10%,
10, 9,
8%.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll tell you, 3 of every $1,000 is invested in a woman-owned fund manager, not even 1%. It is one of the least diverse industries. I only know 6 other women that own their own real estate funds. How do you address that? And to be honest, I grew up in California, and I think that was actually, it's a special thing because I didn't realize there were barriers. I mean, I grew up thinking I could do whatever I wanted. I was born here, I grew up here, and my parents were very empowering in that way. We do a lot of investing in other parts of the country, and it is different. California is a very entrepreneurial, opportunistic type of place to live. Dream your dream, go make it happen, and failure is okay. The tech industry is full of get back up, start again, try another venture. But some of the things that we're trying to do, because it's not, you can't change this industry that I'm in by waiting until the kids are graduated from college. Because if they're not exposed earlier, they don't really know our industry exists. It's not people know about lawyers and doctors and some key industries. They don't typically, and even in college, a lot of women, and minorities are not familiar with the finance industry. So we really try to, we're very proactive at bringing in women interns to our office, really getting them exposed to helping underwrite, looking at transactions, working with our underwriters. And right now, and even in college, that's a little late. We're trying to expose high school students. So right now, what we're doing is we're having our existing interns create a sort of a boot camp for private finance with modules that high school students can be, if they, they're good at math, they want to learn about this, they can be exposed. What's private equity? What's venture capital? What's bond financing? And what's, how does the stock market work? So we're trying to get together a program more for high school students here in Los Angeles that can really get to more girls and women. Because it's sort of that exposure of what is this industry? This might be something I could be good at. But one thing we know is that a lot of girls don't know about this industry, and that's why it's staying these dismal numbers. That's not even 1%.
I would also venture a guess that beyond the industry and the career part of it, our young women understanding how to be financially independent, whether they go into this as a field or not, is a really critical skill for the future. Do y'all feel like you'd be ready to be financially independent, how to manage your money and stuff? Yeah, getting there? Yeah, I think you have a skills session on it today. Kim's gonna go, and then if there's another question, we'll have someone up at the mic.
I think I'll just comment generally about, what we've all said, leveraging your skills and your strengths to find your path and then give back and bring others up. And I'll just continue to emphasize, how fortunate I was to take engineering, right? This big broad, it's the E in STEM, this big broad term. There's so much you can bring, find and bring towards it. And find whether it's a community impact, it's supporting healthcare, supporting the community. Don't limit yourself. Don't tunnel vision. Well, engineers clearly work in factories or they produce things. There's so many different ways to apply your skills in all industries, in various parts of the industry that are some for making money and some for giving back. And hopefully you can find a space that does a bit of both. And I think that's really, where again, you can find your sweet spot, that you're able to be comfortable and successful, whatever that means to you, while doing something that's meaningful and worthwhile to you. And again, that's where I'll say just healthcare is unfortunately a really large business in this country. There are endless jobs in healthcare that are not doctor or nurse. So again, I heard the previous speaker say, and it was the same for me. I saw blood, my dad was a dentist. I saw blood when I was helping him in the office. I was like, oh, guess I'm not going to be a doctor. This is not for me. How else can I be a part of what again is huge, but really important, and helping people through really challenging parts of their life. Hopefully it's a only once in a lifetime experience that they're in a hospital. And so my ability to support that experience, make it as painless, as successful, as effective as it can be, has been really important. Being part of healthcare through COVID. I wasn't on the front lines. We all give so much credit to the frontline nurses and doctors who were there through COVID and experiencing so much. But it was still incredibly powerful for me. I told my mom I did some of my most important work in my pajamas, right? I was kept at home because I was not an essential worker, but we got telehealth. We got video visits. Didn't really exist before COVID. Lots of reasons why. There's lots of laws and regulations. And your doctors had that going within a month because of engineers and technology and computer science people behind the scenes making that happen to better the community, to ensure that healthcare could continue in safe ways. So it's really neat how you can find ways that you can make a difference in the community and in powerful, really powerful impact ways, being a math nerd.
Thank you. Do we have another question? Yeah, come on up. And then after this question, woohoo! I am going to ask, we have UCLA, Cal Poly, Michigan, and then also grad schools. We've got seniors who are going to be interested in college or internships or thoughts on how you made decisions about that and anything that you might offer to the students. Today. So the question was, how is your day today? I think that's a great question. How's it going so far? We're snapping.
Amazing. Amazing.
Okay. Feel free to offer any observations, insights. You actually, when you were coming, this is a really important question, actually. What you were identifying when you came in and said, I haven't been on a public school campus in a long time, and the sign that you saw?
Oh, yes. So how, I have to say, I haven't been in a school for a long time. My kids are all grown. And then when I entered the school, it really struck me because I saw a sign that says, immigrants are safe here. And it hit hard. So, because I've been in this country, I'm an American, Venezuelan American, and my kids were all born here. This is my home, but I am an immigrant. You will see, it is basically, it impacted me. So I wanted to acknowledge that for you. So, but you are in a school, you need to study, look for your passion. And then you will find a path.
Thank you. Anything else about the day? A reflection on the day as we're living it?
Yeah, well, I was really excited when I was invited to speak here. I'm such a big believer in girl power and women power, and companies and organizations are better when there's more women at the decision-making table, more perspectives, more life experiences. It makes for better companies. It makes for better nonprofits. It makes for better government organizations. When I was a young girl, I told you I was really into sports, and Title IX hadn't passed yet. So I was on all boys teams in elementary school. I was the only girl on my soccer team. There was no such thing. Now my girls are club soccer, and I think every girl plays soccer now in the country. It seems like it's amazing how much things have changed from having to, if you wanted to play sports, you had to join the boys team back then. And it is amazing, the statistics on all girls schools. My girls are also at an all girls school. And I remember seeing the statistics of when you look at the number of CEOs at major corporations, heads of state, senators, congresspeople, leaders. And I think the percentage was over 50% of those women went to all girls schools. I mean, that was a commonality, and it's amazing when you can have this type of experience, focus on your education. I will say, especially for the juniors and seniors, if there's areas of interest to you, find adults in those career paths and just talk with them. If one of your friend's parent is in a certain field, say, gosh, I'd love to just spend 20 minutes with you and hear about what your job is, what it entails. When you get to college, do internships. It's the best way to experiment. And you may do one and say, ugh, that was not at all what I thought it would be. And that's okay, because that means you should pivot. That's not the job, the type of career for you. You may find one, you say, this is it. This is the direction, and you keep going deeper in that direction. So really explore. That's the main thing. Explore your passions.
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled. I echo the sentiment. This has been a real honor. I'm very privileged to be here. I think it's so important. Representation matters. And when I was in engineering programs in college, the only woman, and honestly, STEM numbers for women are a little better than they were when I was in college. And so we need to keep encouraging women, not only in STEM, but then in the leadership roles. There's so much data that says how much better companies perform when women are in leadership roles. And so please, continue that. Those are the the numbers that I want this generation to move is women in leadership, making a difference, bringing women's issues to the top offices, to really make and impact change. So I'm thrilled to be able to support you all in that.
Thank you. Okay, so a quick lightning round. You work very hard. You suddenly have a day off, a random day where you can do whatever you want. How do you spend your random free day of relaxation?
I'll go to the spa.
You go to the spa.
A massage
A massage. By yourself or with friends?
by myself.
Okay. All right. Next.
Hike or yoga by myself.
Hike or yoga by myself. Thank you.
Yeah, hiking or the beach.
Hiking or the beach. Nice. By yourself or with friends?
I like both. Either
Okay.
way.
Either or. Depends. Nice. Okay. Another one. A recent movie or book that you have been inspired by or very much enjoyed or entertained by?
I read the Brene Brown books. They're a lot about emotional intelligence. I'll say that broadly. We're using it as our leadership blueprint right now. So that's just really gotten me in touch. I mean, it's like having a psychology therapy session every time you're reading it and that kind of thing. But it's important, and I think continuing to be introspective and reflective at all stages in life is important.
Brene Brown. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm usually reading about 5 books at one time, some on Audible, and then I mix them up. One's on business, one's on a biography, and then one's just for some brain space, interesting. But one book I love and I always recommend to my interns, women interns, Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In. It's really great, and I think it's great if you read it when you're young, because it touches on all of this, with the statistics and the studies on how companies are better with women, but also the tendencies that women have, that they put themselves in the back seat just by our wanting to please others, our willingness to let others, jump out and speak before we wait our turn, and the idea is already out there. So highly recommend that as a put on your reading list for the future.
Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In.
Yeah, for me, actually, this is an several years ago movie, but it resonates, and especially this month that we celebrate Women Heritage Month, is RGB. RGB is Ruth, the top justice. I love that movie because she was very good at what she did as a lawyer, and then she got to the top. But she also was a wonderful wife, supporting her husband in how they worked together for both careers, and then as a mom. So I related to that. I loved it. So I highly recommend that movie.
RBG. Thank you. We have just about 6-7 minutes left. So I would love to do a final round and find out from you 2 different things. One, if you had the opportunity to go back, have coffee with your younger self, we know this is a phenomenon, what would you say? That's number 1. And number 2 is an excellent piece of advice at some point that someone in your life has given you that you would like to share with us. Those may be the same, they may be different.
Mine are the same in that space. And I would tell myself, my younger self, to be patient. Be patient with yourself and your growth. Be patient with your career path. Don't be in a hurry, and be open to that path. I think that's what a lot of us have talked about. So being patient, understanding that things come in the right time. My personal philosophy is that the universe kind of works itself out usually. And so if you're patient and you look for those signs, and you're open.
Looking back, for instance, some internships I did, I often thought I was supposed to know stuff. Like I'm a college student. I'm supposed to know how to do this job. I'm supposed to know this information. And I now realize you're not supposed to know that. You're an intern. You're young. You haven't had the life experiences yet. So, as you're in college, as you're doing internships, as you're in your first job out of college, it's okay to ask questions. You're actually not expected. You're not the CEO. You're not the COO. It's not expected that you know everything yet. So feel comfortable. Look for mentors. Find someone that you can go and talk to and say, hey, I was in that meeting and there's 10 different terms that were used over and over and I have no idea what they mean. Of course, now you can go on Wikipedia. I know there was no Wikipedia that I could go to, but find those people that can be your mentors, ask those questions, build up your own repertoire of information and expertise. I think that that's really important and something I wish I would have been more comfortable with.
Great. Actually, you both stole my, what I was going to say about curiosity, asking questions, and being patient with your career path. But I would say, I will tell myself to have perspective. When you grow in a place where everybody looks like me, then you don't have perspective sometimes. When I came to this country, then I was the only one. So then it gave me perspectives. Everybody has different perspectives, different life experiences. So we need to be mindful on that and then be patient or delay judgment until you learn more of others. So that will say that to myself. And the best advice that I got, and I will tell you this, was from an HR partner when I was at Yahoo. She, so I had a new boss. It was a big job. And I'm like, okay, and then I didn't know if I should ask for a raise. And then I thought maybe they will notice and they will ask for the raise. So they will give me the raise. I said, no, you are going to ask for a raise. And what is the worst thing that can happen? That they tell you no, but you will ask the question and you will ask for it. In my case, I did, and my boss said, absolutely. And I got a raise because I asked. So nobody will do it for you. Be intentional and ask.
Thank you. Any final thoughts as we wrap up our session with you ladies today?
I forgot to answer the best advice, so I will. I worked for Mayor Reardon in the 90s, and he was kind of brought in to sort of fix the city. The city was in a very challenged place back then, and the bureaucracy was very tough. The systems were really hard to reform. It was really hard to change things, and I was 27 years old at the time, and it was a lot of young people that worked for him. We wanted to change the city, make it a better place to live. And he basically constantly told all of us, don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. This is going to be a tough job. If you see something that needs to be done, don't go through 20 steps of bureaucracy. You go figure out how to make it happen. And I took him seriously. And, people will tell you, that won't work, that won't work, that won't work. That fund you want to do, who's ever going to invest in that? That's impossible to do, use private equity for homeless housing. People are going to tell you no all the time, but if you see a path, pursue it, try it. Don't let the naysayers get you down.
Thank you. Let's give them a hand, you guys. Once again, Kim, Deborah, and Maria, thank you so much for your time, your generosity, your expertise today. And thank you all for being a really respectful audience. You're going to get out of the rest of the day what you put into it, and what you've been putting in here is really terrific. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day, and let's go ahead and turn it back over to Liz.
Thank you all very much. High school, you all have your schedules, yes? Thank you very much. High school can now proceed to the skills session.
I was gonna introduce you by, wait, Deborah. By,
Okay. So Katie works in animation.
Check, check,
I like Black Hawk helicopters. He's an entrepreneur at a major fund. So we're amazing.
check, check.
I will not say that even though I want to. That the connection here is
Check, check.
Hi, I'm Liz Cohen, Chair. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Check, check.
You have a start time at 11:15, and I'll give you a.
Check, check.
You're good?
All right,
Deborah, you're here?
introduce you to Debbie.
Hi, nice to meet you, Katie. How are you?
Naomi.
Hi, Naomi. I'm Debbie. Nice to meet you.
Katie works in animation, SVP of Creative at Sony Animation. Great.
Okay, I haven't seen the bathroom. It's very. Okay, thank you.
But this door is the one you'll need to go through because we have set pieces on there.
Yeah, they brought up probably about 6 different people came up and asked questions.
Hello, we're going to start in just 2 minutes, please. 2 minutes. Hello, middle school. We need you seated, please, so we can start on time. We have an exciting panel. And then a 5. All right, we're about to begin. Can't start until you're all seated and quiet. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. All right, guys. Showtime. Now we have the middle schoolers in here. This is, yay, go 6 through 8. I think this is, you haven't been in this room all day. So this is very special to have you guys here, including my 6th grader, Evie Wags. I'm Chelsea Gilmore. I'm Chelsea Gilmore. I also have a 10th grader. I'm on the board at Gala, the Friends of Gala. We are friends of yours. And I'm the VP of External Communications. But today, as you guys know, we are here to talk to amazing women. I'm going to introduce three amazing women. Then I'm going to ask you what they all have in common. And you guys are going to have to figure it out based on my introduction. We have about an hour and 5 minutes together, and I expect some questions. So think about what you want to ask these amazing women in front of you. Mostly because this could be you one day. I believe the reason why you're at Gala is because you're ambitious and you're driven, and YWCC is about showing you this could be you one day on stage. Even interviewing Evie, just like Evie's mom. Okay, I'm going to start with Katie Barron here in the green. Katie is the Senior Vice President of Creative at Sony Pictures Animation. Yes, you have definitely seen some of her movies. Raise your hand if you've seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. All right. And also Spider-Man Across the Universe. All right, that's just to name a few. Okay. Next, I have Debbie LaFrenchie, okay? She has two names, two titles after her names that are so very cool. Founder and CEO. That means she is the big boss. Who wants to be the big boss? Okay, I like it. She's founder and CEO of CDS Capital Group, okay? I'm going to say stuff that's going to sound complicated, and afterwards I'm going to simplify this. That is a national leader in impacting investing with $1.48 billion, okay? That amount of money Debbie's in charge of, and she's going to tell us how she spends it and how she actually helps the community by engaging the private sector in the battle against poverty. So, wow, she has a real clear purpose, even though she is in charge of that much money, and we cannot wait to hear about that. Next, I have Naomi Radin. Okay, raise your hand if you've ever heard of the Black Hawk helicopter. Yeah, we mean the big helicopters. If you see helicopters in movies, chances are it's a Black Hawk because it's the coolest helicopter in the sky. Well, not only does Naomi fly one, her role is a SIC. Did I pronounce that right? A SIC, okay. That means she's second in command of an entire fleet flying Black Hawk helicopters, but guess what she's doing while she's flying these helicopters? Anyone want to take a guess? She's fighting fires, okay? Okay, we're gonna get into this, but when we had very bad fires, as you all know, we're gonna talk about this. But while we were watching the news, we saw a lot of aircraft in the sky fighting those fires. And chances are we saw Naomi flying one of those helicopters. So thank you, Naomi. So let's start. I'll start with Naomi. You're a helicopter pilot. We're going to have a conversation today kind of about who you all were when you were younger and then who you are as professional gals. Before we get started, I asked you guys all a question. What do you think all these women have in common? Anyone want to guess? Okay, we have a hand up over there. You can yell it. They're all leaders. Yes, good. Yep. Okay. Any other things stick out to people? Yes. Yes, they're all important. Yes. Yeah? Oh, I love it, guys. Good contributions to society. Oh, one more. Yes. What? Yeah. They're all women. And you know what else they are? They're all trailblazers. Because keep in mind while we talk, they are all leaders in fields where there still are not as many women. They are often in rooms where they're the only women, in fact. So we're going to sort of talk about that today too. And look at all they've accomplished. So let's start with Naomi. We'll just quickly start. There's a trend on TikTok called Coffee with Your Younger Self. Now, if you met your younger self at coffee and you were like, "Yeah, I fly Black Hawk helicopters," what would your younger self say to you? Where did you start? Like, and we'll go down and hear from each of you. So we'll keep it,
What would I say to my younger self?
Yeah.
I would say that because I didn't know that I wanted to be a Black Hawk pilot when I was younger, but I think that I would say get to know yourself. And I feel like we're all born with certain gifts, but we don't always know what those are. Sometimes naturally things come to us, like we're really good at sports, or we're really good at singing or playing an instrument, or good at numbers, or whatever it is. And I think for me, it took a long time to figure that out. So I had a lot of different jobs, and I tried a lot of different things, and I felt like I was good at a lot of things, but not really good. And I didn't feel like it was a gift until later, when I kind of figured out what my gift was, or one of them. And it's a really interesting one, but my mind really picks up on, I guess it's a little bit of a photographic memory, in the sense of like landscape or maps or like schematics and stuff. My brain just naturally picks it up like automatically. So I figured that that was my gift.
That's so cool.
And it's what it serves me in the helicopter industry when we are in the forest fighting wildfires, because my brain, I know exactly where I'm going back to the fire. If I look at the map, I know exactly where we're going to pick up
Wow.
water or drop the
Yeah.
water. So it has served me really well in this industry. And in my mind, for example, I can, in my mind, see the landscape from here to Moab, here to Sedona, here to Utah. And it just, I don't know, I figured out that's what my gift was. So I would say to my younger self, you don't have to know right now, but do lots of different things, explore lots of different, I don't know, sports, art, academics. I wasn't really that good in school, but I did it and I worked hard, and I did go to college, but it wasn't what I loved, and I didn't feel like I was gifted at that. But all I'm saying is do as much as you can.
Yeah. Debbie, what about you? Founder, CEO, what would your younger self say? Would she be like, "Yeah, girl, I knew that that was my future"? Or would she be, what do you think?
Yeah, I would tell my younger self, pursue your passion. Very similar to what you just heard. We all have different skills, different interests, I don't think any of us, well, I know I would never have thought this was my exact career, like where I am today.
Yeah.
What I knew is as I got into middle school and high school, and certainly when I was in college, I was very passionate about wanting to reduce poverty. And I focused my classes on that. I focused internships on that. And that was my passion. And I had no idea where that was going to lead for a career, because there wasn't some career that was like, oh, if you're interested in, reducing poverty, this is the direction you go. But it all sort of worked out. I mean, each step of what I did got me to where I am today, and I'm doing exactly what I love doing, because I did pursue my passion. The other thing I would say to my younger self that I didn't know, it's okay to make mistakes. It is okay to make mistakes. Girls and women are so hard on ourselves. We feel we have to be at a level of perfection. We don't want to raise our hand until we're positive we have the right answer. It's okay to just lean into it, get your ideas out there. It's okay to make a mistake, pivot. There'll be failures, jump back up, and that's sort of the California story too. I mean, this entrepreneurial state built on, some of the best tech companies in the world. I mean, if you ask those people how many failures they had before they got the right tech product, the right tech company. So it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah. Katie, what about you? Did you always want to be in animation, making some of the coolest films?
I knew I didn't, if you had asked me, at your age, if I'd be working in animation, I don't think it's what I would have thought I was doing. I did at an early age know that I wanted to do something in film or television. I think growing up, I always saw it like looking at movies as a way to escape. I didn't quite fit in, and I grew up in LA.
Woo-woo.
And I was at a small private school, and I just was not, like everyone else. And so my salvation was kind of watching movies and going to the movie theater and feeling a connection with people there. And I knew that I wanted to do something like that when I got older. And my path kind of went all over the place to bring me here. And I'm glad it did. And I'm glad I stuck with it, because I absolutely love what I do and I'm so passionate about it. And I would say, there's a couple things that I wish I had known then, and I wish I had known as I kind of entered the field, which is to speak up and use my voice. It took me a long time to really harness that and not feel scared in a room, because of the fact that you're this little girl, or you feel like a little girl with all these men around you that kind of come in with these big egos. And it just took me some time to find myself there. And I wish that I had just known all I had to do was speak up, and that it was kind of within me to find that.
Well, let's drill into that. I'd love to hear from all of you, because we are a STEM-focused school. So a lot of STEM fields are still really underrepresented by women. How did you find your voice? Let's start with you, Naomi.
How did I find my voice? I think I've always, this is scary for me. I'm more afraid of doing this than being in the helicopter, to be honest. So I think we all have our insecurities, whether they're big or small, but I grew up in a household where my father was an amazing person. He was a Marine, and he really gave me, and my mother was an amazing woman and figure in my life. And I feel like I was able to be confident and have a voice through them, because they taught me to be confident. And my dad always told me not to take any, crap from anyone. And so it really stuck with me. And I was always kind of fierce in that. But I think that's how I found my voice. And I kind of just, like I said before, tried different things. And if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. And I tried to not let things get me down and just kept moving forward, one foot in front of the other.
Debbie, when you walk into meetings, I'm sure you're pitching projects, trying to bring people on a journey with you. How, probably usually often in a room full of men, how are you finding your voice in those circumstances?
Yeah, I think one of the ways I've found my voice, because I'm pitching concepts, ideas, a vision all the time, trying to raise money for something that has never existed before. So
Yeah.
you have to really convince people. And if I think back to sort of my childhood as well, it was interesting because I found my voice pretty early. How many of you have know what Title IX is? Okay, interesting. So when I was a little girl, Title IX had not passed yet.
Wow, yeah.
So there were no girls' sports, at least where I was. So in elementary school, there was no girls' soccer teams. I had to play on an all-boys soccer. I was the only girl on the soccer team. It wasn't until Title IX passed that public school, all schools had to have an equal number of girls' positions in sports as men's. And this is why today it's dramatically different. And but honestly, by playing on teams with boys, I had to learn and have my voice very early.
Right, and be competitive.
Because they push you
and-
around,
yeah.
you learn how to push back. And
Yeah.
and looking back, and I was back then I never wore dresses. I hung out with the boys,
Yeah.
and I just that's how I found my voice. I had to because
Yeah.
I loved sports. I played
Right.
I just wanted to play sports all day long. And it actually has served me really well now. I speak at public forums all the time, big conferences. And, so for me, that's been an important part of being a CEO and raising money and being and you're absolutely right. Sometimes I'm pitching and it is all men. So my firm, we invest capital. The funds we manage are typically about 200 million. And so one of our funds that we have invests in homeless housing in California. And we're using...
That's important.
And I know we all see the tragedy every single day, probably multiple times, of encampments and the human tragedy on our streets.
Yeah.
And we are using a whole new, using private sector money to do this. So we can do it faster, cheaper, and scalable. And, you know, it does take being able to really bring people to that vision. And so finding your voice is really important. And again, don't be worried about making mistakes. Use your voice, get your ideas out there. It's really critical.
Well, not to mention your CEO and your founder CEO. So clearly, if you use your voice, people respond. So that's important to remember too. Don't get over the fear. Pitch your idea, say what you want, and people will listen. I think it's important to remember that.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
just touching on that, I work around a lot of men, and the helicopter industry statistics, there's more women now, but it's less than 5% of female pilots, and even less in helicopters. And most of the men that I work with are military, mechanics, pilots that come out of the military. So in these in the work environment, you have to be pretty strong sometimes. But if you are strong and you just kind of do what you want to do, everyone will respect you. These guys love me; they'll take a bullet for me.
Right.
And you become a family and you become a team. So I always say, like, respect up and down, and everything will work out.
Yeah, I love that. Katie, I'm sure you're always having to tell creatives, powerful creatives and directors no, which no creative or director wants to hear. So how do you handle that?
You know, you say no and they don't always listen, and it's okay, because it's a lot of what I do is about a conversation. And, you know, you may start in a place of no and saying, here's why I don't think this works. And then if a creative comes back and says, you know, director, writer, artist, whoever it is, here's why I think it works and you're wrong, you have to be willing and ready to get into that debate with them. And you also have to be willing to put your ego aside and say, you know what, I was wrong, you were right. But then also know when you have to kind of stand your ground and kind of push forward. And just going back to making mistakes, I think that was a big learning for me, because I was scared for a long time to make mistakes. And I think that's where I would do a lot of my work kind of on the side or whispering to people afterwards or over email. And then I learned, no, the mistakes are what get us to the solution. And sometimes failure is important, and you need to fail in order to get to where you need to be.
That's amazing.
And if I could add to that, because I think with mistake,
Yeah, we're a growth mindset school. So that idea is really baked into how the kids learn here. So yeah, it's a growth mindset for adults.
Absolutely. And importantly, you know, when you make a mistake, be introspective about it. Not just, okay, I made a mistake and you move on, but whoa, what happened there? What did I think? Why did I make that decision? What piece of information did I not have? Or what was my misperception? So it is really important to sort of do that post-mortem of what happened there, and how do was there a procedure missing? And I'm sure flying helicopters, there's probably so many procedures. You know, sometimes we make a financial mistake on our reporting. It's like, we're not just going to solve it this one time. We got to drill down. Like, we're in our procedures. Was it missing that someone didn't double check this? So you get to the root of the problem if you made some kind of mistake. So it's really important.
It's counterintuitive, but I think what I'm hearing from all of you is that's also leadership, right? Correcting and admitting and pivoting. That's Naomi.
I just liked what Katie had to say about putting your ego aside, because you really have to just own it. And that's how you'll learn.
Yeah. So the theme today for our event, or one of the themes, is growing roots. We are on a new campus. So when we think about growing roots in terms of careers, we've been thinking and talking a lot about community, and, you know, growing roots in terms of the people you rely on or you mentor. What would you say community looks like for you? Is it a group of women in different businesses, but you check on each other? Like, what's your community?
Yeah, I have a group of friends who we all kind of came up together, and we get together for dinner every 4 months or however long, and we're on like a constant text chain of whether it's gossiping or someone needs advice, and we just kind of are there for each other and have seen each other kind of grow up, and it is super powerful to think about now because we're all in these big positions in our industry. And, you know, when we had met, we were just, you know, we were assistants, we were coordinators, we were dreaming of these things. And now we're here. And it is incredibly important to kind of, you know, kind of stick together, but then always be looking to help those coming up as well. Because those are going to be your peers, you know, for the long run too. And someone once said to me, like when I was first getting started, you know, you always want to be kind to people because as, what was it? It was like, as you're coming up, like you never know who someone is going to be essentially. And that intern could be your boss one day. And
especially in Hollywood.
yes, 100%. And also it's tiring being mean to people.
Yeah,
You know, I
interesting.
don't get it, but you know, I think you want to, as you kind of rise up, you want that same for those around you.
I want to hear what you guys have to say too, but I do think that's really interesting. Again, it really, the idea that leadership can be empathetic is really important. I think, again, we always think leaders are hard and remote and da-da-da. No, you're demonstrating empathetic leadership is what I'm hearing from all of you. And that's so refreshing. Debbie, what about you? What's the sort of community building?
Yeah, one of the communities that has been really important to me is a group called Women's Presidents Organization. It's actually international, but we had a West LA group of 12 women CEOs, different industries. And so we're all confronting, even though, you know, one person may have a tech company, I'm finance, someone else maybe is, you know, entertainment industry. We're all dealing with sort of the CEO level type issues ranging from HR problems to systems to strategic planning and sharing and helping. We're almost like a board
Yeah,
of directors
right.
to each other. We could bring our challenges like, oh my gosh, I've got this situation with one of my senior people. Not quite sure how to handle this. So, so that collaboration, you know, finding your people, and that's at all points of life. It's good
Yeah.
to have that group of, you know, you can be open and honest, and you know it's a safe place to share that information, and they're going to be really truthful with you and not sugarcoat
Yeah.
things in their responses. Another community that I try to create is, you know, you heard the statistics for Black Hawk helicopter pilots. You know, we mostly manage real estate funds that invest in affordable housing for low-income families or permanent or homeless housing. And if you look at all the real estate funds in the country and all the money invested in them, the amount of capital that's invested with women-owned real estate managers is only 3 of every $1,000.
Wow.
So not even 1% of the capital in real estate funds is with women-owned managers.
Wow.
So it's a very undiverse industry. I think one of the least diverse. And so we really try to proactively recruit women interns in college so they get exposed at an earlier age when they're freshman or sophomore to finance. And now we're even looking at kind of going deeper and getting to high school students and saying, this is what finance is. If you love math, this may be something that's interesting to you because you can, you know, look at this investment. Can we generate the right rate of return? And you're helping to finance housing for homeless individuals. So you're having an impact, but you're using your math skills. So, you know, we're trying to help sort of make the awareness about private finance for girls because it's not a traditional industry for girls and women. And When they're finishing college, it's too hard to get into it by then. You've kind of
Right.
missed the boat. You need to sort of get exposed earlier. So that's what
Yeah.
we're trying to create, that
So
community.
2 takeaways. You guys, raise your hand if you have a group chat. Okay. What we're really describing is group chats. You are going to have that for the rest of your life. That is your community and your network. The next thing, take advantage of the opportunities you hear about in high school, especially to get the opportunity to work with one of these women or shadow them or whatever. Those are going to really, that's meaningful experience. So I want to hear what Naomi has to say, and then we'll open it up to some questions. But we're not done, guys. We have a while together. So I want you guys to think about some things you're dying to know from our guests. Okay, how do you community build? What's your group chat?
Whirly Girls. There's an
Everyone-
organization called
Yes.
Whirly
Oh,
Girls
cool.
within the aviation community. And like I said before, less than 5%. It's probably a little bit bigger now. There's a lot more females that are becoming pilots. So pilots in general, Whirly Girls, some are helicopter pilots, some are helicopter and fixed wing, which is planes. Some do both, some do seaplanes. It's a really cool organization. And I actually have the opportunity to go see them and have dinner in Dallas on Sunday night, which I'm looking forward to. There's a heli convention exposition going on the whole week. So we all get together once a year, and it's a really good way to connect and learn from females that have been in the industry for a really long time. I have friends that are captains that fly the Blackhawks, and they're in charge of everything and dropping the buckets of water. I do a little bit different. I do the startup, shut down all the radios, fly to the fire and back. The captains are amazing. You always learn something from them. And then there's other females that are up and coming, and we do scholarship programs at these dinners, and we are able to, it's really expensive if you're not in the military to get your license. So a lot of these females come in and they really want to be pilots. And so we work with a lot of organizations to get scholarships and grants so that they can have the opportunity to do that.
Wow, that is so cool. So I know that I'd love to hear about Naomi. You helped during the Palisade fires, and when we were in the green room, we talked about that you evacuated on Tuesday, and then by Thursday you were up in the air. Walk us through getting that call and then having to being displaced, but then also being on the front lines.
Yeah, it was a really crazy day, as you know, I think for everyone. I live in the Palisades. We have our house. We're very fortunate, which I did have a lot of survivor guilt around that. My brother and sister-in-law lost their home, and many of my friends in the community. So the fire was on a Tuesday. I evacuated my family. They all went to Orange County. We all went down together, and I was on fire by Thursday. I was in such a frenzy to leave that Wednesday I actually was able to get back into the Palisades to get all my fire gear that was in my house. So I was in and out of there, and it was very, very scary. And I just know weather systems really well. So for me, in my mind, with all of the winds and everything going on, I think that the fire department, everyone, all the first responders did the best they could, and they did a phenomenal job. So I was on fire by Thursday. I worked mainly Sullivan Canyon. Do you guys know where Camp Josepho is? Yeah, so there's two main canyons, and that's basically where the fire kind of, it went over the ridge and then over to Mandeville. So we were able to stop the line at Mandeville, which was amazing. By Thursday, we had a lot of assets on the ground. So CAL FIRE was on the scene, and all the big airplanes and tankers putting water and retardant on the fire. The companies that I work for two companies, Blue Sky out of LA, and that was the company I was working for. And we had 3 Blackhawks. We were stationed out of Camarillo. We call it Heli Base. So by the time we got federal funding, because we're private companies, we get all of our money from the federal government, as opposed to Cal State Fire. They're full-time state employees that are always on. So it always takes a minute for the government to get going and to get the money, but we were on the scene by Thursday and getting everything put out and not letting it spread over into Brentwood or over the mountain.
Wow. Thank you for that. Yeah. So it's probably not as dramatic, but I'm sure you've had some setbacks or surprises in your job that you've had to pivot quickly. How did you show up as a leader in those moments of sort of panic, possibly?
Definitely not the same stakes. I would
Yes,
say.
yes.
But no, I mean, stuff happens all the time that you're not prepared for. And I think something that is key in those moments is having trust in your team and those around you, that you kind of get together quickly and kind of huddle and think, okay, so we're going to do this. And then sometimes it requires you decide something at night, you sleep on it, and then coming to it in the morning because you may have a whole new perspective after you've taken that second, if you have time to take a second to think on it. There's times when that's not an option. But I will say I'm very fortunate to work with extremely talented people. And I think, the fact that we all are able to entrust in each other in those moments and really dig in is very important. And I will also say I have to give a big shout out to my boss too, Christine Belson, who I'm very lucky that since I have gotten into animation, I have only had incredible women bosses.
Amazing.
I
Yeah.
think, which is huge. Before that, I had worked in live action, and that was not the case. I was usually the only woman in the room and usually the lowest on the totem pole. And I will say, it's huge. It's massive when you can see yourself in those, those people in those roles, and then it kind of helps give you the courage to handle things.
Yeah. Debbie, have you had any surprises where you've had to pivot with a plan, financing falling through? I mean, I know you're dealing with cities and agencies, and I'm sure there's so much complexity. I'm sure being steady. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think, one of the biggest pivots when I look back there was a lot of them, but if I look at one of the biggest was when the great financial crisis was hitting,
Yeah.
2008, 2009.
You guys weren't born yet.
It was
Your siblings probably were. If you
yeah, it was pretty scary because, we were at the precipice where we could, if there had been a run on the banks, it could have been back to a depression.
Yeah.
I mean, we averted potentially a very different history. But I had, as literally clients were going under, and having to shutter their doors as the great financial crisis was hitting. It was existential for a lot of companies, whether they were going to get through it or not, because the economy, the stock market, everything was tanking so quickly and so globally. I mean, it was not just a bad market. It was a global issue that was happening. And I had to step back and say, how do I make sure my company doesn't have to shut its doors and I don't have to lay off 15 people? And how do we get through this? And it's interesting because we had been outsourcing a lot of our accounting and financial back office and paying other providers. And it sort of made me accelerate what I wanted to do, which was develop that in-house, all that functionality. But I had it sort of on this 5-10 year trajectory. And instead I looked at the numbers and said, I got to keep that revenue in my company and not outsource it, because this is the way to stay alive. And so I canceled all those contracts, and I did sort of something counterintuitive in a crisis. I went out and hired a CFO because I said, I'm saving all this money by bringing it in-house, and I'll use that to hire a CFO that then does those functions, and I will be in a better place. And so we did get through it. And the decision-making led us to actually leapfrog about 5 years forward. I mean, and it was very difficult, but it kind of forced me to make decisions sooner because there was a crisis and I had to figure things out very quickly.
And saved a lot of jobs doing it. That's leadership too, right? You took care of your people, and I'm really moved by that. So I'm just curious if anyone in the room, we're going to talk some more, but does anyone have a pressing question that they want to ask? Yes, you Right there.
Great.
Did everybody hear that? What's the most important charity, or Debbie will clarify this for us, that she has invested in?
Yeah, so most often we're not actually investing in charity. We are, although we are achieving sort of a charitable purpose, where we're helping very low income or homeless individuals, and so we're funding the purchase of the land and then the construction of the apartment buildings that families can move into. So we're funding, often it's a private business, but it's a business that's a building that's really helping those families have a home rather than living on the streets. I would say, our homeless fund in California right now, we have 835 units of homeless housing that are either under construction or tenants have moved into. And the cost that we're building these, everything all in, the land, the construction, is about $275,000 a unit. And I know that sounds like a lot, especially for middle school, but most of these units that are being built tend to be $800,000 to $900,000, almost $1
Amazing.
million,
That's amazing. Yeah.
using more government money. And we're using private sector money to do it faster,
incredible.
more efficiently. So that's, and I live in Los Angeles, so it's nice to be making an impact in my own, my backyard, and all of my employees are, Angelinos as well.
Yeah.
One project we invested in about 15 years ago in San Antonio, actually it's a campus, and every night there's 1,600 people there. All of them had been homeless, and they go there, they live there, and they get all sorts of services to help them rebuild their lives and then move off this campus and live independently. So that's one that's also really near and dear to me, because every day they're helping people move onward into a new life, where they're self-sustaining and independent and not living on the streets anymore. Great question.
That's amazing. Yay. You had a question. You want to go up to the mic? Yeah. Want to go to the mic and tell us your question? Yeah. Is that mic on? Thank you. Or we can hear you and we'll repeat it.
Like if it's set back by 2 or 3 years, what do you do about the animation? What do you do about, like, for example, the Spider-Man movie, the third movie was a setback. How do you take it by the artist getting set back, the animators getting set back, the artists, the actors getting set back? How do you take that and how do you, put it back together again?
Great question.
I'll repeat the question quickly. So the question was, how does she help artists and creatives deal with setbacks, right? Yeah, because you have to keep their creative mojo going.
And it's interesting. So you could call it a setback, or usually it's really that sometimes movies often, or TV shows, need more time. And they need their time to kind of get to the screen. Something's not working with the story is usually the case. And it needs more time to cook, basically. And so in that case, for one thing, it means that people have jobs longer for the most part. But it is true. Like, you have to kind of figure out, okay, so we're going to be on a longer timeline, which sometimes means more money. Sometimes you have more money, sometimes you don't have more money. So then you have to make choices. And that might mean having fewer people on for longer. But I think some of it is just keeping morale up, to your point, and making sure that people are always excited about the product that they're working on. I think that, I shouldn't say product because that makes it sound, but
the art.
But that there is a real passion, because I think that is the thing that is important, is that people maintain their passion, because you feel that on screen, and you also feel it when people don't have it.
Okay, anyone? Okay, do you want to yell your question or come up to the mic? There's a hand up in the back. Yeah, come on up. And why don't you guys, when you come up, introduce yourself and say what grade you're in?
So, my name is Val. I am in 7th grade. And my question is, what's it like to fly a Black Hawk over the Palisades fires?
Thank you. That's for you, Naomi.
Yes, thank you for the question, and it's a great question as well. I've flown over the Palisades a few times during the fire, and my brain was definitely just in work mode, so I wasn't taking in a lot. But I did get some video and pictures, and the destruction is devastating. I think now I've flown over since. And it's still just unbelievable to me to see how a fire could rip through a community so quickly. And so just, it's unbelievable. I'm still kind of in shock and still trying to process. I just 2 days ago flew over again, took some video and footage, and my brain still actually can't believe it.
Yeah. Oh, we have some more questions. Okay, we'll go here, and then you guys in the back. People can start to line up behind the mics, and we can sort of transition into a Q&A if you guys want to. Okay, oh wow. All right, let's do this. All right. Okay, we will try to get through all of them, okay? Okay, what's your question?
My name is Alyssa. And
Okay,
I'm in,
hold on, guys. All right.
My
Okay.
name is Alyssa, and I'm in 8th grade. And this question is for Katie. So I know in like Hollywood and the film industry, you kind of have to like network and work your way up. So what are some advice you would give for people who want to do like internships and network?
Yeah, I think that it's very true. Networking is extremely important. And to that, it's like, I think it's about always reaching out to people. Oh, a friend knows this person, someone knows this. When you get the internship, making sure that you have coffee with everyone there. When you are in the building, you have access to everyone and take advantage of that. I think that is incredibly important. And then don't just stop there. Like just because you interact with someone for a portion of time, keep checking in with them. I think that is incredibly important. And you just want to maintain those relationships. And I also oftentimes tell people when they're first, getting started and they're doing, taking, like having coffees or general meetings with people, like always end the meeting and say, hey, is there anyone you think I should meet? And have that, see if they can introduce you to someone from there so that you can kind of help grow.
And I would say that's for any industry. I mean, and we do the same thing for interns, like go talk to everybody. I mean, we're a small company, we're 25 people, but it's like have lunch with them, have coffee, just sit in the conference room with them, ask them about their career, what they do, ask questions, use that time to really understand what people do. It's a great experience.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Gabriella, and I have a question for you with finance because I feel like a lot of people don't know what to do with the money they have. So do you have like any habits that this room should get to know to have be smarter with finance?
Yeah, I feel this is an area.
I need this advice too, Debbie. This is actually for perhaps everyone in the room.
I feel in general, the United States does a very dismal job in general of starting with young people and personal finance.
Yeah.
How to prepare, why it's important to save, why it's important to invest, how it works so that you can retire, people are living longer. This is an amazing question because right now we have so many people retiring that are 65, 70, and they do not have enough money because they're going to live to be 90, 95 years old.
Yeah.
So it's really important for all of you as young people to begin thinking about that and to be learning about money, saving, and investing so it compounds. And so, I mean, it's really critical just from a personal level.
Do you guys know what compounds means? I think I know, but I'm going to ask Debbie to explain it.
It's making your money work for you, so
Ooh.
you don't have to work for your money. So
Okay.
when you invest your money and it can make, whether it's 2%, 5%, or 10% a year, that dollar turns into $1.10 next year. And then the $1.10 turns into $1.21 additional, interest. And you keep putting into it. So it goes like this over 20 years. So then that dollar that you're putting in 20 years later has turned to $2,000 because it gets bigger and bigger from the interest each year.
Okay, you heard it here today.
That sounds
$1 can become 2,000 over time. All right, what's your question? You can yell if you want.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go. My name is Mika, and my question is, was there ever a time in your career when someone tried to bring you down and set you back, but like at first you didn't realize it, but when you did, how did you deal with it and how did it make you stronger?
Ooh, I feel like you all could answer that. I mean, any woman could answer that. by
Yeah,
the
I mean,
way.
the answer is yes. But I think, sometimes I think the key is like not festering in it. Like you need to be resilient in these jobs. And sometimes it means learning that someone that you thought was a friend, you have to have a guard up with them. And the key is to just always kind of stay focused. But it's always happened.
Yeah, some of the advice I received from my boss, Mayor Reardon, back when I was in my mid-20s, because we needed to reform the city of LA. It wasn't working well. And he said, do not ask permission, ask forgiveness. People are going to try to tell you it won't work, it can't be done, stop it. And if you see it needs to be done and you believe it can be done, go for it. Don't wait for someone to tell you to do it, because people will always tell you it can't be done.
I love that. Naomi?
Oh yeah, just really quickly, I had a boss in one of my last careers. I worked at Levi's in San Francisco in manufacturing, and everything I did was like not good enough. But she was just culturally, that's just how she was, and I didn't understand that. So I always felt like I could never do the job the right way. But all it did was prepare me for all the other jobs I had to be more of a perfectionist and be really good at what I do. And I learned so much from that. That although sometimes someone could be, it might feel like they're putting you down or you're constantly feeling like you're not enough. I guess change the mindset and try to see the good in it and turn it around into a learning experience and how it can make you grow stronger.
I love that.
Oh, hi. My name is Lucy Holloway, and I'm in 6th grade. And my question is for all of you. So what did you tell yourself to keep giving you the courage to speak up and put yourself out there?
Okay. Naomi, you want to start? We'll go this way.
Sure. Where did I get the courage to keep going? I think just the way I was raised and from my childhood, I just didn't really ever have a choice. I always had to just keep going. And I think, like I was saying, having a positive mindset and not letting negative thoughts get into your mind or putting your own self down or believing any negative stories in your mind. Just put those aside and turn them into positive thoughts and just keep plowing forward. And you absolutely can do anything that you put your mind to. And I think the key thing that a lot of youth struggle with right now is patience. And it's all about chipping away. And every day you're just going to get better at whatever you're doing. And with a positive mindset, you're going to be able to do whatever you want in this lifetime.
Yes, sometimes problems can seem overwhelming. I mean, and it's the same at our level of, in our careers, middle school, high school, college, and you could just, when they compound into something quite large, what I do is I sort of step back and I break down each problem and come up with a plan. And I just take a deep breath and say, I need to just go sit. I need to think about, maybe there's 3 or 4 things that are going wrong. Or I'll go talk to my community and I'll bring those problems to them as well and say, but coming up with a plan gives you something to work towards. It changes from a very negative, stressful feeling to now I have something proactive and positive that I can do to tackle the problem. So I do find that discussing it and coming up with a solution and then writing it down so you've kind of got your roadmap on how to tackle that problem.
Something I wish that I had learned when I was much younger is to take a breath. I used to, for many, many years, get so stressed and hung up on the little stuff, like not sleeping at night. And then I learned, and it would amount to nothing. It would all be wasted energy. And it wasn't until, I kind of released that I got all that time back, and it really changed my life. And that is something I wish my younger self knew as well, going back to our first question. So I think sometimes you got to take a breath and not let the stress overwhelm you.
This is good advice. What's your question?
My name is Avery, and I'm in 6th grade. And my question is for you, Miss Naomi. How high do you fly when you're in the sky?
That's a really good question. So typically, as helicopter pilots, we can fly as low as we want as long as it's safe. But I was trained to fly at about 1,000 feet AGL, which is above the ground. So we typically fly anywhere safely from 500 feet above the ground to 1,000. Sometimes we'll go to 3,000. It just depends on the job, but I would say the average is anywhere from 500 to 1,000 feet AGL.
Hi, I'm Akina, and what's your favorite thing about being a helicopter pilot?
My favorite thing about there's many things. I absolutely love my job and I love flying. It's very meditative, cathartic to be up there and to be flying and to seeing everything. It's a very freeing feeling. With my job, I love to help people. And so I feel like I have such great purpose in like helping put out fires or saving houses or ranches or whatever. So there's so many things about it, but I love the freedom of it.
Hi, I'm Quinn. I'm in 8th grade. Thank you. This is for Katie, or really for any of you. What points do you look back on your path to get to the place and the job that you are now, and be glad that you took certain opportunities or certain like mindsets or just things that you did that helped you get on the path to your career, like where you are now?
I think openness is something that I look back on because it was not a straight path for me. I worked in many different, I always knew I wanted to work in entertainment, and I worked in many different areas. I had an internship in publicity and realized I don't think this is what I'm going to do. And then I worked in TV, I worked in film, live action, and I think I'm glad that my path was a windy one. And when I look back, I think realizing what I didn't like was what got me to where I am. And I'm glad that, I had all those opportunities. And it also has helped me have a different perspective, coming into my job now.
To hear from both of you as well, the answer.
Yeah, I did a really big pivot. I always knew I wanted to focus on poverty. And I thought, poverty, I'm going to work in government or a nonprofit, because that traditionally is where you would go and work. And I did. I went and I worked for Mayor Reardon after I got my master's degree in public policy, and I loved that job. And I helped create these 3 different investment funds for the city of LA to focus on investing in our poorest communities. And it was an aha moment where I said, oh my gosh, I helped get these 3 different investment funds off the ground. That's actually what I want to do for my career. I can focus on poverty, but not in government or the nonprofits. I'm going to go and engage the private sector and build investment funds all over the country. So it was just, through experimenting and trying different positions where I saw that's actually the path. And so I'm still doing this. The poverty was still my focus, but it went a completely different direction, and I started my own company.
Yeah, I have had a lot of different careers, but as a child, my dream was to do what I was doing now, but I got married very young. I went to school a little bit later. I was a snowboarder. I was a waitress for 10 years, and then I graduated and moved to San Francisco and worked in manufacturing. And then I worked in the music industry here for like 20 years, doing lots of different things with that. I've been a business manager, I've done it all. But I truly believe all of these different jobs and skills and life experiences led me to where I am today, because I was able to just like put all that aside and say, you know what, I'm going to do something that I love. And it's just turned into this amazing thing for me.
And what I read in your bio is you actually became a pilot 7 years ago. So
Yep, that's
you,
it.
you can have many different journeys. We have about 10 minutes left and we probably have 20 questions. So hopefully we'll get through them all. What's your question?
I'm Matilda Legg. I'm in 8th grade. Is it okay if I ask 2 questions? I'll be quick.
I don't know. Are they fast? Lightning
Yeah.
questions? Let's see.
Number 1, I've been requested to ask for Katie, what other stuff have you worked on? Specifically, were you on the Netflix show Arcane?
So that was not a Sony show, but it is an amazing show. That was awesome. And man, it looked beautiful. But I did work on The Mitchells versus the Machines. I also worked on this movie called Wish Dragon, which is also on Netflix. Yes, thank you. Okay, you guys are my people. And then a show on Max called Young Love. And then before that, I worked at Disney TV, and I worked on the Mickey Mouse shorts, if you guys have seen those. And some Marvel shows there, as well as a show called Pickle and Peanut, which is a personal favorite of mine.
Cool. We've got some
And so there you go.
crowd
That's-
pleasers.
yeah.
And my main question was, you said that movies were a big part of your life. Is there a specific film or a person that really influenced you, or a genre that you were more connected to?
Yeah, I would say just comedy in general was my everything. So which extends to like many different types of media. To me, like the experience of laughing and sharing a laughter with people is just magical, and nothing is more magical than making someone laugh. And so I knew I wanted to do something around that.
Hello. Hello, my name is Bethany and I'm in 7th grade. And my question is, how do you become the best image of yourself when your company or workplace or group really needs it?
Okay,
This is
I'll
a
have
general
one of
question.
you answer these questions now. You want to go, Debbie?
Yeah, when your company really needs you, I think really communicating with everybody, the direction, why we're doing something, especially when it's tough times. It's because people feel anxious and where are things going. So I find that really explaining what's happening with the company, the direction, get feedback, answer questions. So it's not just, I have a plan and I'm doing it in isolation. Communication is so important to a successful career, company, job, I think in general. Yeah, communicating, over communicate, don't under communicate.
Yes. Thank you. Great question. Okay.
Hi, my name is Daryl, and I'm in 7th grade. So my question is there anybody or anything you owe your success to? Like, what really helped you get to the point you are now?
Supportive parents.
Yeah, I was going to say my dad.
And you
Truly.
talked about
Same.
your
Yeah,
family.
my parents
so-
are amazing.
Yeah.
Still are, and they're so supportive,
That's
and I feel like
support.
have given me so much confidence.
Yeah. And finding good mentors.
Yeah.
So even beyond family, just people that can be your advisor and help you with things. So it doesn't have to be parents. It can also be other people that can guide you in life.
Which I think is key. And some people think that mentors are meant to come to you, but for me, I've always sought people out. So don't be afraid to ask.
Exactly. Surround yourself with people that build you up.
Thanks. Great question.
Great question.
Hi, I'm Nara. I'm in 7th grade. I was wondering if you have any tips for beginners of animating stuff, because I kind of want to do that. So and I don't know where to start. So I'm just wondering.
That is such a good question. And I I should know this only, but because I work on the executive side of things, I'm not as familiar with all the free programs. There are a ton of free programs out there right now that you can download to make animation. And I wish I could tell you what those were, but I'm just not as familiar with that side of things. But I do think, finding and seeking those tools and then making your own films and putting them online is incredibly important. How people get their jobs now. It's not about, I went to, CalArts, which at one time was the feeder school. It's about people who find these free tools and put their stuff out there, and then we see them and pull them in.
Yeah, so many ways to find your way.
Hello, my name's Harper and I'm in 8th grade. I was wondering what training you had to go through in order to become a helicopter pilot and what it was like for you your first time being allowed to actually fly a plane or a helicopter.
Really good question. So all pilots, helicopter or fixed wing, have to get their private license first. You do about 60 hours of training before you can you have to do a written test and then you do a check ride with an examiner. No one's a good pilot at 60 hours. You have to everything's about hours in the aviation community. So the more hours you have, the better pilot you become. And let me tell you, I am friends with a lot of pilots that have 15,000 hours, 20,000 hours. They said the minute you stop learning or learning something in that cockpit, you should just retire, because every time I've been in there, I've learned something. So private license first, and then if you want to work and make money, then you go for getting your commercial license. So that's another test, another check ride. Anything over 12,500 pounds, so big jets, big helicopters like the Black Hawk, or any big jet that you fly on going on like a vacation or a holiday, that's another certificate or license. So there's different levels. It's like anything, you just keep working your way up with hours.
Practice, practice, practice. All right, we have time for one more question and then we're going to wrap it up. I'm so sorry, but what is your question? I'm sorry, guys. You can storm, or I know it's, but you know what? This is part of your community that we're building today. So you will have more opportunities. Okay, Zaha, what's your question?
Hi. This question is for Debbie. If you weren't a CEO, what other career path would you follow?
That's a great question. There was a point about 26 years ago where I had to make the decision whether to start SDS Capital or I was considering running for office. And I had to think long and hard about it because I knew that if I ran for office, my focus was to continue looking at poverty and how to make a difference. But at the end of the day, I felt if I could create these investment funds, I could probably have a bigger impact on poverty. And I chose that path. But great question.
I mean,
Really great
I just have to say, I see a future where we have Mayor Debbie, Katie does all the does all the ads, and Naomi flies her around. Who wants to work for that team? I know I do. Okay, we have to end this now. If you guys have any quick hits of things you feel like you want to leave these kids with, we're going to wrap it up. You guys are going to go to lunch, but let's just hear, can I hear a thank you? Hello. And lots of claps. Thank you so much, you guys.
Ladies, goddesses, before you leave, I have some names that I'm calling. If you can come up to the stage for me. Amelia Trujillo, Mia Ziering, no, apologies for saying the names wrong. Noga Levy, Odine Taylor, Allie Guthrie, Kaylin Wright. Okay, just meet me here at the stage. Thank you.
All right, middle school, you're dismissed for lunch. 12:55. Get ready for the next sessions. Thanks, everyone.